I don't know about you, but to ride on a 18-seat prop plane would be scary enough, but to fly that plane into a jungle would be really scary. And then to land in a small landing area in a jungle, that would be even more frightening. But then to know you're going to a compound that's only 6 miles from that little landing strip, and that compound has Jim Jones and almost 1,000 of his followers. And there's been rumors that there's violence. That would really be scary. And in our upcoming election, there are rumors that a certain group has a violent underbelly and there will be blood in the streets. We're talking about someone like Jim Jones, who is a socialist, charismatic leader, and someone like him who would not frown at the violent overthrow of the government. This is the kind of thing that was going on back there in 1978 when that small group of the congressman from California, his entourage, were in that 18-seat plane. And I surely wouldn't want to be on that plane. But friend, I'm telling you that today, if you're not a born-again believer, if you don't know the scriptures, you are vulnerable. And this man that I'm talking about wrote a book. It's called Raven, the Untold Story of the Reverend Jim Jones and His People. And I believe it's still available in print. The last reissue was in 2008. And the word cult is used, it's used very loosely. It shouldn't be used that way. The word cult usually refers, if you're talking about a religious cult, to a group of people who think that they are the only true group of believers. And that if you're not with them, you're not going to heaven. And the cult, of course, would be run by false prophets who preach lies, who are under the thumb of the devil. Now, right here in John chapter 10, verse 16, it says, "And other sheep I have, which are not of this fold." So, if you say that your fold is the only fold, and that if people aren't in your sheepfold, they're not going to heaven, you are actually contradicting John chapter 10, verse 16. And that's what happens when people take their eyes off the only inerrant, infallible source of truth, which is the Bible. We can't get outside of the Bible. We can't contradict the Bible. We can't set ourselves above the prophets that wrote the Bible. They were pushed along by the Holy Spirit. They were filled with the Holy Spirit. The words they spoke were words that God gave them to speak. And I thank God that we have the Bible, that we know that this is the actual words written down by the holy prophets, and that this is our support. This is our bulwark, our anchor. And if anyone is preaching and they contradict this book, well, then we just walk out because we don't want to be in a cult. And of course, when that congressman heard about these abuses and his own constituents were telling him these things, he decided to charter a flight and go down there. He took some news cameramen with him and some other people, and they were going to do their due diligence and find out what was going on. But what they didn't realize is that they had to contend with the devil, because these people were demonized. And as a matter of fact, before the killing began, a kind of evil Masada where everyone commits suicide, there was a strange wind that took place, an eerie kind of wind, and everything was blowing, and then terrible rain began to fall. And there was an eerie feeling that something very terrible was getting ready to happen. And on the morning that the congressman was getting ready to go back to that little plane, that 18-seater, which was it was parked on the runway just six miles away. It looked like they were going to get out, that they were going to be free. And friend, if you're in a cult, that's what you need to do right now. You need to run.